of the most iconic voices in golf are back to save the day and ready to entertain in their newly weekly video podcast. Kostis and McCord, Off Their Rocker.
Hi, I'm Mike Abram, producer and co-host of Kostis and McCord, Off Their Rockers, and episode 3 today. Boy, do we have a great show for you. I want to appreciate all of you that have subscribed, that are watching, that are enjoying our video podcast, and please share it with your golf friends. And today we've got another great story. We've got Peter Kostis and Gary telling the story about how Peter and Greg Norman got into it a little bit the night before Greg lost that big lead to Nick Faldo at the 96 Masters. We've got 3 more tips from Peter, his 6 rules for better golf, and this is rules 4, 5, and 6 will be with you. And we've also got, we all have heard about this whole ball rollback proposal by the USGA and the R&A, and we have the perfect guest to discuss it with Peter and Gary. We've got Gene Parente from Golf Laboratories. Gene's company, Golf Labs, makes the robot that does the ball testing for everybody, including the R&A and the USGA and over 50 manufacturers throughout the world. And Gene's going to talk and give his opinion on why this rollback and what he thinks about it with the guys. But remember, like, subscribe, and share on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@KostisMcCord. And go to Swing U, check out their app. It's fantastic. And let's get going with a great story from the Masters, Peter Kostis and Gary McCord. And now, on Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers, our favorite time is story time with Peter and Gary.
Well, Peter, remember the last time we went over my Masters story and what happened in that great establishment at Augusta?
Bikini wax.
They're so fast, I don't think they mow them. I think they bikini wax them. Anyway, you have a story that I remember, and I don't think I was there, but I remember you telling me about it. Can you go over that story again?
Yeah, this was PM.
PM, post McCord.
Yeah. In the Masters 1996, I'm on the 10th hole back then. I spent 10 years on the 10th hole only because I was hoping like hell for a playoff, and I never got damn one.
No.
Not one playoff while I was on 10. Then they moved me to 13. Then they moved me to 15. Never got a playoff. Anyway.
Then they fired you.
So Saturday,
Yeah.
Greg Norman has a 6-shot lead at the end of the day.
That's with Faldo is right behind him.
Yeah.
Second place.
They're going to get paired together in the final
Got
round.
it.
So I'm walking, back then they didn't give us carts. So I had to walk up the 10th hole, down around the par 3, back to the TV compound behind the par 3. And so Brian Hammonds is there, right by the par 3, all by his lonesome with a camera and lights. And this was the first event, basically, that Golf Channel covered.
All right.
Because that's when they were born that year. And they had one guy up there, and he's getting ready to do a stand-up back to Orlando. So I just stop and say hi to him and whatever, and he goes, well, it looks like Sharky's going to finally win his green jacket. Now I'm thinking, I know Brian, he's a good guy, and we're going to have this conversation just like you and I are having this conversation now. So I said, well, Brian, I'm not sure. I mean, he could be in for a rough go. And he goes, what? I go, yeah. I said, look, Butch changed his grip on Tuesday. He strengthened his grip. He went out Thursday with the grip, maintained it all day long, played great, had a 2-shot lead. Friday, I notice his grip gets a little bit weaker. Under pressure, you revert to instinct, right? Well, there's no way in hell you can change a grip on Tuesday of the Masters and have it be instinctive as the week goes on, right? But now he's got a 4-shot lead Friday night. Then he plays Saturday, and the grip is weaker still. It's almost back to where it was before Butch changed it. Now he's missing it both ways, and as you know at Augusta, missing it both ways is
it's a nightmare, basically.
It's a no-no, yes. So I just explained this, to Brian, and I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but he could be in for a long day if he doesn't get this sorted out.
Yep.
And so I walk to the compound. I go home, sitting in our house, having dinner, whatever. I wake up the next morning, I go in the compound. I walk into the main room.
Yep.
And Frank's office is over there
Frank
to the right.
Tricanian, yeah.
And so I hear this, Kostis, get your ass in here now.
Oh, that's never good.
And I
by
go,
the way.
oh, this is 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. What do I do now? And so I go in, and there's Frank and Jim Nance in there. And he goes, sit down. I go, okay, what's up? He goes, did you tell the whole world Norman was going to choke today? And I go, Frank, I don't think so. I mean, if I did, I would have remembered it, but I don't remember it. He goes, well, I just hung up the phone, and he wants to put his hands around your neck and squeeze you to death.
Wait a minute, how'd they find out? Did Brian Hammond say something on the air?
And I go, I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Okay.
I didn't know. Then I find out that Golf Channel bought time on the local CBS affiliate in Augusta.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Uh-oh.
So now, when Brian does his stand-up,
Right.
they ask him what the mood is in Augusta. And Brian goes, well, ladies and gentlemen, just about everybody I've talked to here thinks that Greg Norman's going to win his first of many green jackets. Except, interestingly enough, just moments ago, I had a chat with CBS's Peter Kostis. And Peter rambled off some technical stuff about his golf swing and thinks Greg might be in for a long day. That airs in Augusta. Because at that time, the viewership of the Golf Channel was nada, right? Who's watching that? And God knows why he's watching TV on Saturday night before his final round at Augusta. It's Greg Norman. So Greg interprets what I said, that I called him out and he was going to choke. So, so Frank says, you idiot, keep your mouth shut. How many times have I told you? And I go, he says, get out. He throws me out of his office, right? Now, I walk out, kind of slam the door. And I
Kind of slam the door?
Kind of, got to be careful with Frank, right?
Yes, you do.
And so I walk out and I go, you know what? I walk back in, open the door, and I said, you know what, Frank? If all he's got to do on the morning of arguably the most important round of golf of his life is call you and bitch about me, he's more fucked than I thought. And I walked out, and this time I slammed the door.
A slight slam?
No,
an
it was
emphatic
a slam.
Second one, okay.
Yeah. And Nance is sitting there. And Nance can verify this whole thing. He was sitting right there. And so back then, we used to have a Calcutta. Mm-hmm. And there was a fair amount of money involved.
Drunken money involved.
Yeah, but Frank had Greg Norman.
The plot thickens.
And so now, about, 3-4 minutes after this whole thing's done, I'm out in the main part of the office. Frank sticks his head out the door and he goes, anybody want to buy Norman for $2,000?
I do, I was home watching on television, and I was, 6-shot lead. You're going to watch for about the first 9 holes, because if he's even or if he's gains a couple more strokes, there's nothing going on. And as you know, the back 9 at Augusta on Sunday is always good. So I'm sitting there watching, and he is getting a little clumsy with everything he's doing, kind of like you pointed out, and you could start to see the slow train wreck as it was starting.
Yeah. And
it ended up in the back 9. It got a little goofy for him. I think he ended up shooting 78, I believe, and Nick Faldo shot 67.
Yeah, it was a huge difference. I'll tell you, one of the biggest keys, in my opinion, was Faldo getting in the final pair. The way he finished on Saturday, he got paired with Greg Norman. So it was eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah.
And I think that hurt Greg as much as it helped Nick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that he's struggling the front 9, and he's holding it together with Band-Aids and what. And I remember Venturi, when they got to 9, they said, that had that front pin, and he goes, absolutely, cardinal sin here, you cannot miss it short and have it come down the hill. Bingo. Greg hits it, doesn't hit it up on the plateau, it comes back off. I think he made double there, right? And so then now Now you could get this sense. Now you could see the train wreck starting to form.
Right.
And I mean, it was painful to watch. He came to 10 on my hole, and he missed it short left.
Ooh,
And it was just awful
back
down there.
right.
You could tell that, I mean, he was searching. He was struggling. He was fighting his butt off. No two ways around it. But he had no bullets in the gun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Faldo is just sitting there like, okay.
Yeah, measuring it out.
I'm reeling him in now. And it progresses. And I remember the distinct picture of Greg trying to chip in on 15.
Yes.
And then falling to
in
his
front of the
knees
green,
and whatever. And it was just a miserable, slow train wreck.
Yeah.
You know, and to Nick's credit, he played a superb. I mean, you shoot 67, 5 under in the final round of the Masters. That's golfing your ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty special stuff. But everybody was fixated on Greg's, you know, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
It was just like he couldn't put anything together.
Yeah.
Then the next week, I'm thinking it's over, right? And it's like everybody's stunned.
Right.
The gallery is stunned. I mean, it's like, what happened, right? And so we get in our car and drive to Hilton Head,
Right.
as you know, Saturday. I'm walking with
Greg Norman.
Norman.
This ought to be fun.
So
Did you plead with Frank not to go in the group?
No, I stayed as far away as I could, or whatever. We get to the 18th hole, and we're crashing off the air as soon as he makes the last putt.
Okay.
So
Yep.
I'm no idiot. I'm not going to walk all the way up to the green, not being able to say anything, and then walk back because our compound is back toward 16. So I'm starting to slowly walk back toward 16. He putts out, and we crash off the air. And next thing I hear is, Peter! And I turn around, and it's Tony Navarro. It's Greg's caddy. He's yelling at me. He goes, Greg wants to talk to you. And I'm thinking, I honestly thought, shit, did I say something that he heard me? Did I disrupt him? Did I get in his way?
Yeah.
Because that's my first concern
Right.
as a walking on-course guy. You don't want to disrupt play. Right? I didn't even dawn on me about Augusta. I had put that to bed.
Okay.
He goes, come on, you got to come back. Greg wants to talk to you. So I walk all the way back. He signs his card, and we go underneath the bleachers at 18.
Not good. Stay out in the middle of the public.
No.
Okay.
And he starts to berate me. And
About the Masters.
About the Masters. How could you do that to me? How could you say that? Whatever. And I said, Greg, look, first of all, I thought it was off the record, so I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. Number two, I mean, what happened? You know, I feel bad for you, but you know what? You struggled with your grip change and whatever. And so we go part our separate ways after a couple of
Did you? In the chest?
point, counterpoint in the
Underneath
chest,
the
you know,
bleachers?
underneath the bleachers, whatever. And the final culmination of the whole story, from my perspective, is back then, CBS had lost NFL football, and we did all that goofy golf stuff in the fall. Remember the shark shootout?
Yep.
And so we're doing down the shark shootout. This is now November. And he's hitting balls. And he asked me to take a look at his swing. So it was
Was it a weak grip?
I
or
didn't
was it
say,
a
you know, I
strong
said,
grip?
Greg, it looks fine. That's it. That's my master's.
So now I've got the idea that you're unemployed at this point, and why you didn't get a phone call to do the Live tournament as an announcer. I get it now. I get it.
There's a possibility of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it could be.
Yeah.
Residual. We're going to have a lot of great stories throughout these coming episodes, like that one from Peter and Gary. And next week, we're going to have on their old buddy, David Faraday. They're going to share some stories together too. And when we come back, we're going to have Peter's rules 4, 5, and 6 for better golf. And don't go away, because we're going to have a very heated, great discussion about this ball rollback proposed by the USGA and the R&A. Kostis and McCord off their rockers. We'll be right back.
Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers is presented by Swing U. Check out the incredible Swing U app. It gives you great GPS course data from tee to green, and including green reading. And you know, even simple strokes gain features can help you improve your game. So go out and check on the App Store or at swingu.com. It's a great app. It'll shave strokes off your game.
Visit our website at KostisMcCord.com. Like and subscribe at our YouTube channel and on any social media, Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers. Now it's time for Coach Kostis. Peter gives us some great tips to help our games.
You want to go slow swings before fast swings. In fact, one of the greatest drills of all is to make a slow motion golf swing, practice swing. All the way back, all the way down, all the way through. Learn to do it slowly. And if you can do it slowly, like this is my lob wedge, I'm only going to hit it maybe 30 yards. That gives me a sense of rhythm and feel and helps me get the tension out of my hands and arms. So slow before fast.
Okay.
Also, small before big. So if you're having difficulty making good, clean contact, you've heard about the smash factor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what I'd like to do is to get people to make small swings with little effort, cock it, spank it, and get the feeling like you got more out than what you put in.
Let me go over that again. Cock it and spank it?
Yep.
Okay.
Would you like to add more to that?
No, I'm just asking questions.
Okay. So you're going to hinge your wrist. Do you prefer that?
Yeah, that's fine.
You're going to hinge your wrist, spank the back of the golf ball with your hands and arms, and get more out of the shot than the effort that you're putting in.
Okay.
It's called the difference between powerless effort and effortless power. Can you figure that one out?
Not really, but okay. I get it. You're hitting it farther when you're hitting it easier, swinging it easier.
Gary?
I think I lost. Did I flunk the test? Anybody help me? God, I'm back at school again. Don't do any math. I hate math. Okay? I'm
Okay.
awful at math.
All right.
I'm a total derelict. at
That's
math.
5.
5.
Can you name them again?
No, but 6 is coming up.
Correct.
Correct. I got my feet together. I'm striking down on it.
Sam Snead taught me 100 years ago. He said, son, there's only one absolute in golf.
One absolute in golf, Sam Snead. That is?
If you can't turn, you can't play. And he had maybe the best turn in all of golf. And as we get older, which you're going to experience here shortly,
That's why I'm in a rocking chair, okay?
rule number 6 is left heel up
Yep.
before left heel down.
Yeah.
For 400 and some odd years, we played golf lifting the left heel up. And then somewhere in the 80s, some teachers came along and said, no, you can't do that. That's not good. You got to keep your left heel down. You got to stay planted. No, right? So you have to learn to play with your left heel up to get you a full motion, full range of turn, then start down with the heel, give you the transition from the ground up, and off you go. Now, it doesn't mean you have to play with your left heel up. If you're young enough, flexible enough to get a good full turn and proper sequence in your golf swing with the heel down, fine, go ahead. But you can't learn that, in my opinion, without first making some swings where the left heel comes up, put it down, and swing through.
And it basically gets around to your, I think your third effort there, your third axiom was we have to turn in the golf swing. And if you get that heel off the ground, it makes your hips turn more, which then allows your shoulders to turn more. So as we develop maturity, old age, I like that one, develop maturity, then you can actually turn your back to the target, which is the essence of everything.
Another way of looking at it. Everybody, most everybody, when they think of turn, they think of their shoulders.
Yeah.
Right? So you're sitting in that chair right now.
Yeah.
You can't turn your shoulders very far.
No.
Because your hips are frozen.
Right.
In the bottom of the chair.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So if I'm sitting in a chair and I can't turn my hips, I can only turn my shoulders so far. If I free my hips up a little bit, I can turn my shoulders more.
Yep.
If I learn to turn my knees, that frees up my hips even more, which frees up my shoulders even more. And then presto bingo, if I can learn to lift my left heel, that allows me to turn my knees more, which then frees up my hips and allows my shoulders to get rotated. So as we get older, we can create artificial flexibility by learning how to play with the left heel up, rotating the knees, thighs, hips, because that's where the turn starts. It starts in the feet, through the knees. Knees control the hips, hips control the shoulders.
And you know, as you were saying that, I can remember, I love the long drive guys, okay? And I see these guys now in their golf swing, and before they start it, they get rocking like this, which is exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
You get this motion going that way, and you can develop a turn, and they all turn extraordinarily a lot amount
Right.
of
They actually,
distance in their
this
shoulders.
is their pre-shot routine
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And then they'll go and pick it all the way
Yep.
up, get all the way up here, replant it, push up, and then they'll fall back this way.
Exactly.
Because they're
The rotation.
counterbalancing the speed
Yep.
that they create, which is phenomenal amounts of speed, right?
Yep.
So, to recap, for those of us in jeans, it's
Amazon.
it's strong grip before weak grip. And these are in no particular order. You have to actually touch base with all of them. Strong grip before weak grip.
Yep.
Feet together before feet apart.
Got it.
Ball back before ball forward.
Got it.
Small swings before big swings. Slow swings before faster swings.
Yeah.
And left heel up
Okay.
before left heel down.
Okay.
You work on those things, you'll find your game.
6. That's it. 6. That's all I got to remember is 6.
I'll write them down for
Thank
you.
you. Please. Can you email them to me? Because that way I can look at them. Okay. And you know me, I'm not real focused. But that was good. That was very good. Very
So
simple.
that's the kind of stuff we're going to do. We're
Okay.
going to fool around. We're going to talk about tour players, and we're going to talk about tour swings and this and that.
Yep.
But you know what? The people who put Tiger on the left side of the screen and put this 45-year-old amateur on the other side and say
Yeah,
you got to do
doesn't
this.
do any
That's
good.
stupid.
Right.
You can't do what Tiger did.
Right.
Tiger's Tiger, right? So what tour players do for their golf swing mechanically
Yep.
bears absolutely no resemblance to what amateurs should be working on to help their golf games. So we're going to try and help amateurs.
Yep.
Right? That's it.
I can tell you firsthand, those tips from Peter really help. They were helping me swing last Friday, and hope you enjoyed them. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to be back with Peter, Gary, and Gene Parente, founder, president of Golf Laboratories. Golf Labs does all the testing, all the independent testing for all the main companies. They make the robots that the RNA and the USGA use, as well as all the top manufacturers out there. And Gene's going to give us his opinion. He knows firsthand. He's been doing a lot of this testing, and he's going to tell us what he thinks about this golf ball rollback. So don't go away. Kostis and McCord off their rockers. We'll be right back.
Strokes gain stats are finally easy with the most 5-star rated golf app in the country. Swing U accurately and objectively provides feedback across driving, approach shots, chipping and pitching, bunker play, and putting. Easily identify your strengths and weaknesses and laser focus your practice time so you can quickly shave strokes off your score. Download Swing U and start owning your game today.
Visit our website at KostisMcCord.com, like and subscribe at our YouTube channel, and on any social media, Kostis and McCord, off their rockers. Let's get back to Kostis and McCord right now.
If we're going to get some answers, clear-cut answers, or opinions, we're going to go to our buddy Gene Parente, Golf Labs, San Diego. He's the guy that he builds every robot there is. He does all the testing for all the OEMs, the golf club equipment companies. Right. So he literally knows all the answers. And by the way, we've got him right now. Gene, San Diego, you got your kayak? Are you paddling around San Diego? Is this atmospheric storm is getting you guys again?
Well, let's just say I'm not out testing right now. I'm sitting talking to you guys because there's not a lot of work going on. So, there's that.
All right. Give us your interpretation of the new local rule that's being put in place, maybe? I'm not sure yet, between the USGA and the RNA. Could you please explain to our viewers?
So the rule, as I understand it, is, so just to give you a little background, I build all the robots for the industry, and the USGA and the RNA use my robots, and they currently have a standard of 120 miles an hour, a 10-degree launch, and 25-20 spin, which are pretty good conditions, and a ball can't go past 317 yards carry, plus or minus 3 yards. So we'll call it 320. And what they want to do is bump it up 7 miles an hour to 127. But here's the part that a lot of people have missed. They want to increase the launch angle by 1 degree and decrease the spin by 325 RPM. And the reason I bring those up is they want to create more of a ballistics model, someone who absolutely stripes the ball, maximizes the coefficient of restitution between the club head and the ball speed, and hits the furthest possible shot. In my calculations, you're talking about easily 15, if not 20 plus yards decrease in distance, which will be a complete disaster, in my humble opinion.
Okay, let me ask you this question now, right off the top. Do you know of anybody currently playing any professional tour or playing golf anywhere who can create those launch conditions? The new ones,
absolutely.
127.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Bryson could do those in his sleep. I mean, I've watched him do those. That's his 3/4 swing right there. So, I mean, there are guys out there, but distance is so here's a little background. The golf ball hasn't gone any further in the last 10, 15 yards. 10, 15 years. I know, because I test them every single week. This isn't a golf ball issue. You know what this is? This is an athlete issue. This is a technology issue. If you want to limit the golf ball, tell these guys that they're banned from the weight room. Tell these guys they can't go do yoga anymore. And more importantly, take away launch monitors from them, because they've used all 3 of those things to maximize distance of the golf ball. And from my opinion, you're starting to see on the PGA Tour, these guys are self-regulating. Look at guys like Rahm. Look at guys like DJ. They're playing the power fade. The reason they have enough distance, they understand that hitting fairways is the most important part. The guys that need distance are the guys that have 107, 108, 109 miles an hour club head speed, and they're still trying to be competitive. They're the ones hitting the high draw. You're not seeing distance increases. This is a classic case to me. The horse left the barn, and now we're suddenly becoming reactive to it. And I don't see any upside for a number of different reasons. One, purely financial from the PGA, which is your guys' realm. But from my perspective, you're going to take money out of the players' pockets by they're no longer going to have ball contracts. You're going to lose ad revenue because no one is going to be advertising that their ball's 20 yards shorter and number 1 on the PGA Tour. And number 3, you're watering down the product. Suddenly, these guys are hitting the ball 260, 270 and having to hit hybrids and long irons in. And 16 under wins golf tournaments now. Do you want 4 under to win golf tournaments? And suddenly the product's not as exciting. And then on the flip side, you've got the OEMs. Who in their right mind is going to want to build a golf ball and design a golf ball that goes 20 yards shorter when there is no return on investment? As we know, tour players do not purchase golf balls. The only reason that these manufacturers use tour players is because they sell product. When they no longer sell product, they will no longer subsidize them or support them or use them for marketing. So they don't have any incentive to design golf balls. And it's not just one golf ball. You have to redesign your entire portfolio for these rollbacks. It just, there are so many limitations that it boggles my mind how this thing can even possibly go forward.
So what you're saying in essence is this is a solution in search of a problem.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
And I don't understand. I mean, who's going to pay for these golf balls? The manufacturers are going to have to spend millions of dollars in R&D, assuming that they can get a golf ball to conform to these new stipulations. They're going to not be able to sell. No one's going to want to buy them for starters, right? Who wants to buy a golf ball that's going to go short?
I already have some.
Yeah, that's called old age.
Yeah.
And so now we've bifurcated the rules, which is arguably one of the most chaotic things about golf, right? I mean, it's great that I know they don't use the same shafts and the same flexes and this and that, but basically everybody who plays golf plays by the same rules. And now this will not happen if this goes forward. So how do you feel about bifurcation?
Well, the thing about golf in particular is it's aspirational. The reason that we tune in to watch professional golfers play is they do things that we simply can't do. And that gives us a feeling of gratification to watch humans reach a level of excellence. I don't want to see tour players other than at the Open, at the US Open, double and triple bogey holes. Every once in a while, I like to see them brought down to their knees, but I want to see them on Saturday and Sunday do things that I can't do. Hit drives 325 yards, stick pins. And if you start taking that away by rolling the golf ball back and bringing them back to the fold and suddenly start looking more human-like, you're not going to have interest in the game at that elite level. That's the reason. These, I remember my dad telling me, or, a great Lee Trevino line, from years ago, it's been a long night when you wake up and there's still ice in your glass. That's, that was an era of golf back in the 60s and 70s. That's not the era of golf now. These guys have tuned their bodies. They've tuned everything to maximize distance and maximize performance. And now you're saying, pull that back, retrench that to what end? To water down the product? I think you lose the aspirational aspect that makes golf unique. And in doing so, you're going to lose interest. And I mean, what's Titleist going to do? Sell a Pro V1 and then a Pro V1 Tour approved that's 20 yards less and put those on the shelf next to each other? No one's going to buy that. So there's no motivation for the OEMs to design a golf ball. And if they don't design a golf ball, it's kind of like, what is the USGA and the R&A going to do for a tournament if there's no golf balls to be had? Because you have to be able to create a portfolio of golf balls. And by the way, the clock's ticking on this. It's January 2026. These designs have to be in place by January 2025 for production values and for production timelines to be hit. There is a lot that has to happen, and there's no upside for the manufacturers to do so.
What I'm reading is now that this would take effect in 2026. And let's kind of go over it again, and we'll start from square so we can paint a broad picture. So people think the golf ball is going too far at this point, and the word bifurcation comes in. Does the tour need rules separate from the rule makers to separate that sport from the amateurs? Well, if we go back in the word bifurcation can get very expensive. This is for our viewers out there. What happens is the USGA basically has no money. They make the rules. PGA Tour loves that. We don't make our own rules. We let the USGA make our rules. We play by those rules. Now, if one of the OEMs, a Callaway, a Titleist, TaylorMade, they don't agree with a rule like this one coming out where they're going to make the ball go shorter, they're going to call their lawyers up immediately and start suing. We want them to sue the USGA. They got nothing. We don't want to make our rules, the PGA Tour, because they'll sue the tour. The tour's got golf courses, they got money, they have got pension plans, they've got all sorts of things. And I don't know an OEM that wouldn't go and say, okay, we're going to sue, because basically television is about 70%, I think, if I remember right, 70% of the ads in television are bought by OEMs, golf companies. Well, those ads would all be gone. Now, the golfers get a lot of money because they got a driver. No one worries about putters or wedges. It's the driver that goes the farthest, and the ball goes the farthest with their driver. They're selling that. They would pull that all back. That means the players that are representing Titleist, TaylorMade, and so forth, there's no reason to advertise. So what I'm saying here, let's follow the money and just follow it. Bifurcation won't work because the tour would set itself up for litigation if they made their own rules. So they made this now a local rule. This is where it gets interesting. So the local rules out there, they play a golf ball that somebody builds. I don't know who the hell's going to build it. Probably the USGA would have to build a ball. So they're going to build a ball and they're going to use it at certain tournaments that are the R&A or the USGA, correct? So who makes that decision for the tour schedule? Is it the sponsors that throw the tournament, or is it the tour that can pick out an event and go, we're going to play that ball, that short ball for that week. And then the next week, no. And I don't get how that works, right?
It doesn't.
How does that work? It's a local rule. So it's a local rule, so you can implement it. But who implements it?
Well, I mean, let's think about that and let's break that down. Okay, let's just say, to your point, that the USGA and the R&A make a ball, right? Which is such a loaded question in and of itself. What kind of ball do they make? Do they make a spinny ball? Do they make a less spinny ball? Do they make a ball that has a higher peak trajectory, lower peak trajectory? As you guys know, these guys, sometimes some of these guys are playing golf balls that are 6 years old because they don't want to change because they dialed in that ball perfectly. And now you're just throwing them some random golf ball that they have to adjust to. But let's just say that happens. Well, it's elite competition. Are we talking junior am, senior am? And then all of a sudden the leakage starts coming in. And now suddenly you're a 13-year-old kid and you've got aspirations. Do you play the amateur golf ball that goes 20 yards further, or do you start playing the ball that's reduced distance because you have aspirations to make it on the tour one day, or at least go in the USGA competition of elite competition? It leaks down and it just creates, Peter summed it up. The game has never been better. And now we have to go break it. It's just mind-boggling that we would do that at this point in time.
You're familiar with the testing that was done, I think it was 2021, is that right?
Yes.
The study?
Yes.
The conclusion of that study, as I understand it, recommended no change. That's what I've been told. I don't know if that's fact or fiction.
Yes. So here's the thing I can attest to. Absolutely. So 60% of my business is testing golf balls. I test golf balls at 120 miles an hour, which is the USGA standard right now. I don't test golf balls for conformance. I test them for performance. In other words, the manufacturers will come and say, okay, we know that these are the limits. Now we want to come right up to these limits and we want to test. I have been doing this test at 120 miles an hour for as long as it's been implemented. And I can tell you, without revealing specific data, there's not one golf ball that goes a yard or two further than another the entire time. So nothing has changed. Now, what has changed, as I said, athletes have gotten stronger. Athletes have gotten more flexible, and athletes have figured out through launch monitors how to create a more ballistic model, to the point, and this is back to what I said, that this is a solution in search of a problem. I think Bryson was a classic example. He pushed the limit so far and everybody chased him. And all of a sudden, everybody started spraying the ball over the yard and realizing, wait a minute, our scores aren't going down. This is much more problematic. We need to control the ball. So I think distance is self-regulating just simply based upon the fact that hand-eye coordination only allows for a certain velocity under stress or consistent repetition to get the ball in the fairway. So it's a long-winded answer, Peter. Yes. There's been no change to the golf ball. Why suddenly now this would come about, I do not know.
So we also know that, and this is my last question, but it's the high-speed guys seemingly get more out of their golf ball than the low-speed guys get. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, fair statement, yes.
Okay, so somehow we have to flip the script. Somehow we have to flip the script to where the faster you swing it past a certain point, whatever you decide, 125, 127, whatever, the golf ball you don't gain any more out of that golf ball. That has to be done if we're going to regulate how far the golf ball goes down the road, right? Because we're going to have 6'7", 6'9" guys with light graphite shafts, creating unbelievable club head speeds. And if they keep getting more out of the golf ball, the harder they swing, the ball's going to go farther because of their performance, not because the golf ball itself goes farther.
Well,
how would you flip the script?
My answer to this, is simple. It's graduated rough. It's risk reward. In other words, at 300 yards, the fairway is wide open. At 350, it narrows and the rough is 8 inches. At 375, the rough is U.S. Open, and it's just brutal. And it's risk reward. Just you can do it with course setup, and if someone can hit the ball out there and hit it straight, more power to them. But more than likely, they're going to be in jail because of turf conditions. And that would be my simple solution. You could do it easily. And let's face it, back to that 16 under, and you guys, every year you used to do it. You walk these courses on the West Coast swing, the rough's like a quarter inch at Pebble, at Phoenix. The only course that's a little bit of an exception is Torrey. The reason? They want these guys to shoot 16 under. You can set a golf course up for whatever you want to restrict it. You don't need to do it through equipment, and you don't need to do it through the golf ball.
Yeah, I've long advocated for more in the rough, longer, north-south instead of east-west, right? They normally will grow the rough out wider if you miss it out there, but then the fans stomp it down so it doesn't come into play. But if you had it 2 inches at 250 yards, and then it gradually went to 8 inches at 100 yards, and you mowed it up longer as you go from tee to green, then you're going to rein in distance.
100%, and that's a simple solution. And guess what? You're saving on maintenance costs. They're growing the grass out. They're not having to mow it as much. I mean, it's just that's a no-brainer solution. And back to the PGA, that's why I will be shocked if the PGA implements this, because at the end of the day, the PGA is about entertainment, and entertainment is not 4 under or even winning golf tournaments. And that's what can potentially happen if you roll this golf ball back.
Well, Gino, we appreciate it. I think, it's pretty simple to me. You just follow the money. You just follow the money. It's real simple. So who gains from this? Really nobody. I mean, again, you alluded to the fact if I go to a baseball game, I want to watch a guy knock it out of the stadium. I go to a basketball game, I want to watch a guy do a reverse dunk. If I go to football, I want to watch Brady throw. Well, he's retired. That's right. I want to watch him throw a 90-yard touchdown pass. I don't want to go to a golf tournament and watch these guys hit as far as I do. I don't want to do that. And then it would be really pathetic. I agree. That's why I said it. And it's going to be interesting these next couple of years. They're going to take input to see, but they've made it a local rule. So I think somebody's going to do it. USGA RNA is going to do it. It's going to be very interesting to see how they implement it, but it's going to cost what? A lot of money to do it, with a lot of ad dollars off TV, with a lot of money in the players' pockets for doing it. So if I follow the money, this ain't going to happen.
I couldn't agree more. And also, the one last point on that local rule, the local rule is kind of like being a little bit pregnant. It's like, how does that exactly work? One week you're pregnant, 1 week you're not. It's just like, I'm not sure. To me, that was the way that I read that was them sticking their big toe in and not completely committing to it, and knowing that they could pull out if there was too much blowback.
Feedback. Well, again, thank you very much. And we're going to come down and see you with the robot. I love his robot.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love his robot. How many have you made, by the way, robots? Real quick.
55.
55. The man knows what he's doing with robots. All right, Gino. We'll see you, partner. You take care.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Mike Abram here with you, and hope you enjoyed our show today. Peter and Gary say thanks. Leave any questions or anything in comments on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@KostisMcCord. Go to our website, KostisMcCord.com, and you can follow us on social media, Twitter Kostis McCord or Instagram Kostis and McCord. Remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And check out our sponsor, Swing U, at the Swing U app or swingu.com. It's an incredible app. We've got a great show for you next week. We're going to have David Faraday on with the guys next week, and we'll have some more stories from David. We'll have some more tips from Peter, and of course, Gary will be giving you all things golf, his take on everything. So thanks again for watching Kostis and McCord off their rockers, and and we look forward to seeing you very soon.